Peace and love to the family, part two. I want to do something different with part two. Did you guys get anything out of part one? To my sisters out there, did you get anything out of part one? To my brothers out there, did you get anything out of part one? We took a 1,000,000-year trip back into the past. For my family who's in Christianity, my Christian family, that's 1,000,000 years ago. Right? And you've seen the importance of the female, the divine. You learn about the fall of the divine. You also learn about when it was time for that pendulum to swing and the male vibration was up on his. We seen, and this is really where the Christianity history starts. We seen what the male vibration did in vengeance of the mother's fall and the mother being diluted with negative energy previous to that fall. And I thank y'all for watching that. We're going to get further into the goddess energy in just a few. But I just want to sit here with the family and just sit back and maybe do a recap of what I just recently said earlier. We are in 2020. 2021 is literally right around the corner. We look on the news. We are fed entertainment. We are fed fear. We are fed hope. In 2020, going on 2021, we are still, as a people, as an entire people, listen to this, on this planet, we still are looking for two individuals to become that great one to represent all of us. With all this power that we have inside of us, with all this strength and might and supernatural abilities that we have, we are still connected to the matrix. You gotta understand something, family. There's a bigger, there's a better, and more amazing life for all of us. But the first thing you have to do is get out of the normal that you have been taught. It is so uncomfortable for people to discover something new, especially when it comes to their religion, especially when you throw a wrench in their religion. And why is that? Because now it means that they have to reconstruct everything that they were taught. And even worse for some people, it instills the fact that they too, by themselves now, must have to decide, are they God or devil? Or who are they? If they're not those two, could they be something more? So for the ones who still claim Jesus Christ without connecting the Tibetan history, without connecting the Egyptian history, without understanding that there was a magic, a mystic, an avatar sense of being with Christ. If you cannot, as a scholar of Christianity, a Christian scholar, you cannot accept the fact that you have to dwell in the magic realm to understand the truth about Christ, then you are fooling yourself by programming yourself every day saying Jesus, 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 Jesus. without diving deep into who he was, without looking to Issa, Issa, Saint Issa, without looking to Yeshua. That's with a Y. If you are Christian, religious, and you won't read the books that the Gnostics read, the books that the Vaticans put their whole life into making sure you, especially the melanated ones, would never read, the books that dictate everything the first gospels you know talk about, then what are you going online for and talking about God, God, God? For my sisters, especially in this day of age of technology and knowing thyself, self-discovering, self-reliance, self-abundance, how do you feel worshiping a religion that is only 2,000 years old, yet still its history gives you the least respect? They got animals that they uplift more in the Bible than women. And this is true. Let me go back into my notes for those who missed part 1. And I want to read to you for my sisters out there, my beautiful ladies out there, who claim to be of the Christian faith. To my sisters out there, who grew up, no matter how old you are at this age in 2020, who were always taught that it was wrong for a woman to be preaching. For you who still say they still rather sit back and enjoy a male preacher. This is all programmed into you. Just in case you missed part 1, I'm going to read again what the Old Testament and the ancient Hebrews thought of the woman, the divine womb man, the giver of life. The Old Testament and ancient Hebrews said that the menstruation cycle was unclean and that a woman should be confined until cleansed of her issue. I want to give a shout out to my sisters, especially my beautiful, strong sisters. When you're dealing with a man, especially when you've been in relationships previously and they haven't worked out, but when you're presenting yourself and a man is presenting himself to you, one of the first things that you want, maybe I'm wrong and maybe I'm not, is that man, when it comes to honesty, gives you the whole truth. You want, just give me everything up front so I ain't got to deal with no bullshit later on. I think that's just not the females, that's all of us, but still the same. You know what I'm saying? But yet and still, ladies, you worship a religion that doesn't give you the whole truth on who you are as a whole spectrum of the divine feminine. Do not give you your whole history. And you have physical proof that you were always dethroned, declassified, and looked less upon than your male components in your Christianity books, in religion in general, but especially in Christianity. But yet you still give praise to the Father, to the Father. And that praise to the Father has subconsciously and consciously become a battle with our sisters. I'm sure you know what I mean. That struggle, that love for the Father has consciously and subconsciously played a big role. So for those who watched part one, because I don't want to really go over it, because if you watch part one, I gave you the story. I want to do the breakdown now, before I even go into the finishing and talk about the power that's within, the Divine Mother. Why is she so divine? Think about that though, seriously. So for those who still go church and speak on Jesus, the Christ, without understanding the Christ, the Christos, the crystallization of perfection, and for those who still just praise Jesus, the J, without even researching the Saint Issa, the same man that you're being told about, but only getting one side of the story, that traveled to Tibet to learn Reiki and the healing with the hands. So when he came back home, he was blessing them. You don't want to learn about the truth of that his name was Yeshua or Isha with a Y. And that, after that, 11, 12 years old, he left and went to Egypt and was initiated into magical doctrines. So when he came back home, he was raising the dead. Y'all don't want to talk about that. So sisters, how can I expect the ones who are not spiritual to believe that your energy, that who you are is way more divine than the entity that you praise inside of your church? This is what you got to understand about yourself. And until you understand that about yourself, you're going to be right back in that third dimension. You're going to be continue to be confined, just like the old ancient Hebrews and the Old Testament Christians and New Testament Christians wanted you to be too. Because they knew of the ancient teachings and the ancient power and the attributes that the Divine Mother had anyway, but they just limited her to the wisdom in your Bible. The Greeks took the mother god and named her Athena. The Greeks took the mother god and named her Athena. So if you know anything about Greek history, for my historians out there, you know that all the Greeks did was model everything. The Greeks modeled their whole civilization off of ancient Africa, off of ancient Kemet, off of the ancient Egyptians. So when they came in and conquered that, they just took everything that they praised, their gods, their goddesses, you need to understand this, and they just put their own remix on the shit and whitewashed it like you were here today about certain shit getting whitewashed. Now, I'm about to continue to read on this, and hopefully by the time I end up with this, I got some more time to drop some of this knowledge on y'all. But before you go in on claiming you're a Christian, Catholic, Islam, whatever you are, do the research. Because you are more powerful than you give yourself credit for. It don't make no sense about y'all. It really don't, man. It really don't, man. Because a lot of y'all can sit back and hear this with open ears and open eyes and still go back, sleep, and wake up to the bullshit. It's all good, though. This too shall pass. So let's continue going on now. We're going to continue on to part 2 of the Divine Goddess. Here we go. I'm going to start off here. The Mother Goddess represents the love principle. We have mentioned the frequency of light, light being information, and the frequency of love enlisting creation. The deepest underside of Pleiadian information is its sensuality and sexuality. Its creation through the love vibration with the goddess. Working with the goddess energy requires a deeper exploration of the feminine principle. It is time for women's knowledge to be spoken, shown and shared in a magical, mystical way. It is time for women to discover more about their own mysteries, their processes of menstruation and birth, and the cycles of their emotions. It is time to share this with men. Many women say, "What can I share? I don't understand myself." Excuse me, I'm sorry. Many women say, "What can I share? I don't understand it myself." Well, it is time for you to go within to say, ladies, what are these feelings I have? If I have to explain to someone else what it is to be a woman, what would I explain? What can I do to become more of a goddess in a woman's body, more of a magic maker? Ladies, at this time, this is what you should be asking yourself. For y'all who talk about the black girl magic, and for those who are really spiritual, my spiritual sisters out there who know the power of melanin, and how at this time more than ever you should be activating it. Because if you have melanin, this is very important, if you have melanin and you're not activating your melanin at this time, then you will be wiped off the face of this fucking earth. It's just that simple. Because we have a job to do here now. The goddess within is the one who knows, who takes information from one system into another. As the decade progresses, there will be a marked increase in female teachers and leaders, for the goddess embodies through her kind. This is not to say that the goddess does not work with male vibrations, obviously, for men will also learn to embody the goddess. There is no discrimination with the goddess, and there is no anger. The goddess is a very allowing entity. She has allowed much to happen over the eons so that everyone could learn. Now the goddess is calling for an honoring of what she allows to be created through the core mystery of the blood. Here we go, ladies. Through the very gift from her own womb. Here we go, ladies. The blood and its mysteries are key to understanding yourself, your genetic line, and the living library itself. You are a part of all of your blood's journeying back and forward in time. So to speak, your ancestors and predecessors can be accessed, felt, experienced, and affected with conscious attention placed on blood. Are you listening? As humans, you grow and nourish yourself into being with the blood of your mothers. Through females, the rich and vital substance appears as if by magic. To male and female alike, the bleeding of woman has been acknowledged as both an act of power and of curse and shame and ridicule. The blood is a living symbol, demonstrating cyclic evidence, a cycle pretty much, evidence of your connection to the ancestors and the codes of consciousness stored within all beings. You are a genetic library. You are a genetic library, and cataloged in your essence of spirit are the archives of personal, planetary, and celestial experiences. These experiences avail themselves to you in your third dimension form, through your blood. Wow. Are you getting this? Are you getting this, ladies? And gentlemen too, because we need to know this together. Because we're in a higher level plane right now. So ladies, you are understanding some work now. Let's continue on. I don't want to hold up. Your blood is rich with stories. It is filled with patterns and designs of a geometric nature that reorganize themselves according to your state of consciousness and intent. In order to awaken to a new view of life, you must be willing to reconsider and make changes. Your thoughts are recorded by your blood. They are imprinted with a distant font according to your feelings and then radiated outward for all worlds to read. You are the sum total of yourself in physical form because of your blood. Now, are you the history is starting to make a little bit more sense now once you bring the witches, once you bring the ancient goddesses into it, right? All right, now, thank you for joining the Davis Corbin channel. This is what I do. Within the bone caverns that serve as your skeletal structure, blood is produced. It is enriched or deprived according to your blueprint or intent, and is combined with your ability to decode life as a series of self-created lessons. Your blood can easily be enriched and restructured. The way your blood can be altered and enriched is by intentions. Inside your brain are tiny particles like magnets that are affected by the rays of the sun. Great waves of energy and telepathical codes for civilizations are sent on cosmic highways from the Pleiades to your sun. Your sun transfers the energy to you and to the moon. To my sisters out there who do the moon rituals, you know what this is. The energies go into your cranium and are held through an electronic magnetic process by the small magnetics in your brain. Body work can change the structure of your blood. As you align your consciousness to become more whole, your blood becomes more purified. It becomes something very, very sacred. Information is stored in stone and bone. The red blood cells are manufactured in the bone marrow. When you realign the bone, it starts to change what the bone does to the rest of the body. The realigned bone purifies the blood, creating a more accessible bloodline and sorting out the inner secrets of identity. Often women have been in disdain of their menstrual blood, rather than understanding it as the source of their power. The blood carries the genetic code, and because the mother goddess is the source of all things, this is where the code comes from. It is where the story is hidden. Menstrual blood can be used to nurture plant life, to mark Earth, and to let Earth know that the goddess lives again. In general, women don't bleed into Earth anymore. Doing so is a direct transfer of the energy of the goddess. When a woman put their blood onto Earth, she is nurtured. Women have been told for eons, that their blood is a curse. Are we lying? And they have become afraid of their own blood. They do not understand that it is their source and their power. As you let go of old taboos and work with menstrual blood, you will find that you have a different effect on the animals and planets of the living library. Woman, if you are still bleeding, become wise in honoring your body and your blood. Your blood is one of the highest sources of fertilization and territorial marking that you call upon. Understanding the blood mysteries is key to connecting to the source of your power and deep inner knowledge. You can mark the land where you live with your menstrual blood. You might start off with the cardinal points, north, south, east, and west. Then over time, you can continue to imprint Earth like a painter laying strokes on a canvas. You can dilute the blood with water, thereby increasing the amount. You can bless it and use crystals to hold the vibration. The process is considered to be marking the goddess territory. It will draw plants and animals that have a new vitality and that feel they are one with the goddess. In a number of your ancient stories, blood was used to ward off evil or make a statement of intent. Perhaps a door was marked with menstrual blood. No one would dare touch that door or those living behind it, because it was understood that the goddess reigned there. In those ancient times, the goddess was still respected. In the ancient times, the goddess was still respected. Before the worship of the one God. Just keep on going, Corbin. It was understood that if you fooled with or disobeyed the goddess, your work was not divine. How great had the divine woman failed. As you build and develop new communities, we suggest that women of all ages gather together and intend to understand the bleeding time and to share their power and knowledge as keys with men. With us, not against us, with us. Explore the blood mysteries as a natural process of community life. Your body and its cycles create the image of life. Power is a very important thing for you to comprehend. Think about the dynamics involved with a woman having a baby. She maintains a life force that creates movement and desire to be born. There is a mysterious power in that. So much power that the male vibration came to fear the process. Listen, everybody. Listen, everybody, because this is where your religion is. This is where your religion goes in. Got no time for games, guys. We are in 2020, about to be 21. It is time for the female to step up and realize her power in this universe. And stop worshiping this one God who is your son, who is your baby. You're praising your baby. Where you're not even... Come on, man. Let's keep on going, Corbin. There is a mysterious power in that, so much that the male vibration came to fear the process and the magic of birth. Because the male forgot how to bring birth onto the planet through his body, he became threatened by the power of the female. Men need to get used to the bleeding of women and support it. There will come a time when you will want to know about your lineage and the responsibility of appropriate and timely childbearing, because life is going to become very valuable. The bleeding of women will become a very important part of community. As women gain understanding through this power, the goddess is, I want to say this word right, galvanized and returns to all of you. If you want to have fertile garden, the best garden in town, use your blood diluted with water. Your garden will flourish. You will find that your blood can accelerate the growth of food. It will accelerate many, many things. It is not a mistake that women bleed. It is one of the grandest gifts. It is the elixir of the gods. Aboriginal women save their menstrual blood in pouches and use it to heal wounds. There are many things that women can do with their blood. Some of you don't like the idea that you are a woman. Excuse me, let me say that again. Let me read that whole thing again. That burp came in. Aboriginal women save their menstrual blood in pouches and use it to heal wounds. There are many things that women can do with their blood. Some of you women, some of you don't like the idea that you are women. When your bleeding occurs, you find it unpleasant, uncomfortable, painful, inconvenient. Times and experience. Men often have no idea what goes on, so it is an awkward time for them as well. In the days ahead, contact the goddess, open your heart, and discover where the bleeding can take you, and teach you. For within the bleeding process lie many of the keys to bringing the goddess back onto the planet. There is a need to return to the sharing of power through partnership, the divine feminine and the divine masculine together. There is nothing else. There are many more mysteries to unveil, unfold, and reinterpret. Some of you may be wondering, why are we covering the subject? It is very important. If you are not interested in the goddess energy and the mysteries of the blood, we will say to you that you will miss an integral part of life and will not understand what is occurring on the planet. If it turns you off, or if you think it is irrelevant, you are completely missing the point. This is one of the most powerful teachings that we can give you at this time to assist you to understanding what is coming. What is coming. What you need to do completely and totally as men and women together is honor the goddess vibration that comes through your heart and help your heart open. Menstrual blood is highly oxygenated, the purest of blood, and it carries decoded DNA. It is the oxygen that decodes those strands and allows the restructuring of the data. Your scientists are now playing with the third strain of DNA. They are learning how to build strands of DNA based on photon lights, fibers in the body that we call the light-encoded filaments. The mystery of the blood has been subverted in your modern religions. Do you ever wonder about Christian communion? You are told to eat the body and drink the blood of Christ. What is the significance of that? If you were raised Christian, these are the words that you heard over and over again. And I quote, "This is my body, this is my blood." End quote. The ritual is a distortion. This ritual is a distortion. Taking the body and blood invites a sense of cannibalism and is based on an ancient and unhealed reptilian infusion. You heard it here yourself. A pathos of the planet is the tendency of the multitudes to be willing advocates for a cause without knowing what the cause is truly about. The era of ignorance is ending. The era of ignorance is ending. You are coming into an era of blissful knowing. We strike a few key phrases using sound that means something to your minds, yet on another level there is a language being spoken that is decoded by your bodies, just like crop circles. We want to add something else to the pot here. The moon influences the rhythm of Earth. Who is to say that it is not designed? The moon reigns over the flow of energy in the body in the same way that it governs the tides on your planet. It is a very powerful electromagnetic computer. It is a very powerful electromagnetic computer. If the moon affects the tides, it also affects the tides in your own bodies, the blood in your own bodies, and the hormones within the blood. Now, I'm going to stop there because I think I gave y'all way more than a mouthful to digest. Sisters, y'all all right? Brothers, y'all good? Now, this is something you take home with you. This is something you digest. This is something you meditate over. Because as a son of the Mother God, as somebody who went to Egypt, learned a lot in so short of a time, and came back with a mission to bring back in this Western civilization, and for the people to still know, even if it's just a little bit, and still turn the other cheek, no pun intended, on their true knowledge, yeah, it frustrates me. Yeah, it pisses me off, because I'm not the only one out here at this time in the age of Aquarius giving you this message telling you to wake up, everybody. No more sleeping in bed. Because the old and evil, corrupted people who ran this world for so long are dying out, and their people are dying out with them. The ones with melanated DNA in them will last, but don't get it twisted. If you have melanated DNA inside you and you're not doing the work and you're not graduating to the level of spirituality that you should be, then your ass is good as gone too. So I thank you for tuning in yet again to Darius Corbin Presents, and take this knowledge. And for the ones, and before this cut off, and for the ones who really want to do a further research, and for my sisters who want to do a further